Many small businesses in the very early stages are looking for access to capital, especially when they are on a limited income, or they may be in a product based business where they need a lot more startup capital. So many will look at crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is an excellent way to be able to gain access to capital. But as far as setting it up and making it your primary source to starting your business, I would definitely say to do your research. But remember, one of the things about crowdfunding is that you have to get people involved in to supporting what you're raising capital for. So making that, don't let it be your only way to be able to gain access to capital. Remember, one of the easiest ways to be able to get access to capital is your very own sweat equity, putting money into your own business, even if it's small. If you can't, looking to see if there's friends or family who are willing to be able to invest into your dream. But remember, the best investment in the very beginning always comes from you. But making sure that you're thinking about other ways to in the even in the very beginning stages, and making sure that you are putting yourself in a position where you can really get access to more capital or funding is the best way is by your lending institution. And so that is why it's very critical to ensure that you're committed to getting registering your business. One of the things that we always know is that budgeting sometimes can be very difficult, but it doesn't have to be. And yes, you can still budget even if you're not making a lot of money. Budgeting is necessary no matter how much money you make. Yes, even those who are making a lot of money are still with budgeting. Think about it. Even your global corporations are making budget or have budgets. This is how they're able to know when to be able to make hire new employees, but also when to make those budget cuts. We've sometimes heard about companies making budget cuts, and that's because they're looking at their numbers and they know their monthly expenses. But budgeting is because budgeting is a financial blueprint, and it's not only used in your personal expenses, it's also necessary in your business. Just because you're starting a small business doesn't mean that you're always going to be small. And this is why it's always important to have that financial blueprint. And that's your budget, because that's going to let you know what's coming in each and every month and what's going out. So that way you can identify if there's anywhere that you can make some unnecessary cuts if need be, but to really be able to see where things are coming from that are positive, what you're doing right when it comes to your personal expenses and even your business expenses. So budgeting is a key resource that we must continue to implement. And if you haven't already, making sure that you really commit starting today that you're going to start budgeting, because those behaviors and that mindset will be transferred over into your business. We talked about budgeting and how important it is. It is your financial blueprint. But how can you make budgeting easier, personal and business? Budgeting, it can be overwhelming, especially when we're first getting started, but it doesn't have to be. And sometimes it can be confusing, but again, it doesn't have to be. There's some amazing budgeting platforms that are out there that you can use. And one of the great things about it is they're easily accessed through your phone. If you go over to your App Store or your Google Play Store, there's a bunch of budgeting platforms, but there's also budgeting platforms that are online, whether that's mint.com. It's an amazing platform for you to be a free platform for you to be able to use. Like I said, those apps, there's so many low cost to no cost that you can use. So that way you can really be able to be in the driver's seat of your financial future. One of the other things that you can do is Google also has it, that where you can use Google to be able to format a budget. Excel has some amazing things for you to be able to do it. It doesn't have to be overly complicated. Make it as simple as possible. Remember, a budget is forever changing. It will mostly change month to month. Some expenses may stay the same, like your rent or your mortgage, but some of those other things may change each and every month. So be willing to know that it's okay to be able to change with what's happening within your budget. But the one tried and true option to be able to budget is pen and paper. Pen and paper, just write them down. What's coming in, what's going out. And if you're able to look at your one of the easy ways for you to be able to budget is if you have a banking institution. Many banking institutions have budgeting resources available to you. So that way you can really be able to make sure that you're managing your money properly. But one of the easiest ways to be able to help you to be able to see and create a budget for yourself is to look at what you've been spending. Look at last month. Write down everything that you spent your money on, or your banking institution has made it very easy. Pull that last month's banking statement. Kind of compare it to what you spent money on this month. This will allow you to really be able to create a budget that is really based on what your spending habits are. And this will really help you to really truly make budgeting for your business easier. Because guess what? When you can transfer those same resources and tools over to your business, then you will be able to clearly identify what needs to happen every single month in your business and where you need to make cuts if necessary. Reading is not just fundamental, it is critical. There's some amazing money management books that you definitely should read. These books will help you to really be able to identify because remember, budgeting is not a one-stop shop. Everybody's monthly expenses, income is different, and even our goals. So making sure that you pick up books like The Automatic Millionaire by David Bach, Your Money, Your Life by Vicki Robin. That's a great one because it's your money and it's your life. Everybody's goals, dreams, income are different, just like I mentioned. And starting to really implement things like Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, another great book to start to really be able to shift your mindset about money, but really be able to show you how to become rich on your own terms. Because remember, no one's financial pattern or journey to finances will look the same. So making sure that you kind of give yourself some grace, because remember, wealth or trying to build financial wealth is a journey. It is not a sprint. And you don't have to compare yourself to someone else. Remember, comparison is the thief of joy. And you want to enjoy the journey on becoming financially free. But then, old tried and true, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. We've heard about this one, so I'm pretty sure that many of you have already read that book, but pick it back up. And even if you haven't, you definitely should try this one. So making sure that you start to look at books and look on money management, but also make sure that you're reading them and not trying to do everything that is they're saying, making sure that you apply what's applicable to you. Because remember, finances are different from everyone because we all have different journeys. So we talked about finances. We talked about building your business. What are the 9 factors that you should consider before starting your business? How to identify if your business is a hobby or if it's truly a small business, and if it's not, if it is, what to do next. But what we want to talk about is one of the things that tends to still be a taboo question that many entrepreneurs don't want to ask. So how do I determine what do I charge for my services or products? You definitely want to identify first. Looking into the marketplace. Remember, we talked about how important it is to look at your competitors. What is being charged in the marketplace right now? That is going to give you an idea on exactly where, or at least an idea or a price range on what you could be charging based on where you live, what the market is responding to when it comes to price. But one of the things you also want to look at is identifying what are your monthly business expenses? What do you need to cover? What makes this business sustainable? People paying money. A business is about making money. You're in business to make money. So it's key to be able to identify what your monthly business expenses are, because that's going to ultimately come and be subtracted from the amount of money that you're making each and every month. And then being able to identify, once you've done your research on your with your competitors, what price points do you know that your target audience would pay for? But remember, not always thinking about what they'll pay for, because remember, people pay for what they want. So making sure that you really identify your avatar, understanding how your ideal client spends money is critical. Where they spend money, what makes them part with the money with your competitors. Start to really think about it. Really think about your ideal client as if this was your financial best friend. Where do they spend their money? Where do they spend their money? Where are they? And why are they spending the money with their competitor? And then really, really, really understanding, like I said, knowing your customer, but making sure that you're putting yourself in front of your customer. Because one of the things is to think just because you're starting the business that your prices won't change. As you start to be able to not only grow the business, know that price adjustments are key. If you're already in business, is it time for you to start to talk to your current clients and explain to them why the increase in your services, and explain the value that's going to be associated with that. So understanding that charging your worth is going to be very, very critical from the very beginning. People will respond well when you price well. We have all seen that many organizations, let's just use Netflix, for example. Many of us like to Netflix and chill when we have time. But one of the things that we have came accustomed to is that Netflix made them adjustments. When they first came out, they were a small price. And they're still relatively small, depending on what you're looking at. But one of the things is they realized that as their business grew, that they had to expand their price point. And so I want you to start to think about that as well. Start to look at not only your competitors because you're a small business, but look at how your global businesses and your larger companies start to make those price changes and make that a part of your thing, to start to really be able to identify what you should charge and when you should make those necessary increases in what your fees or what your costs are, because things are changing. The price of things are inflating. So you want to make sure that you're charging what's going to allow you to be profitable, but to also be able to expand your business as well.